hope you're all well. I haven't posted in a while, so I figured I should give you guys something. And before I get into this, I'm asking again for anybody that wants to share their experiences, especially those that have witnessed Sasquatch disappearing into thin air. I'm most interested in that sort of thing. It's the more people that speak up and share their encounters, being witness to that, the stronger this becomes with this truth. Having being able to come out into the forefront, because how long are we going to sit there and drag on this animal ape theory, this offshoot of Gigantopithecus, which they're not. They're not. It's just plain and simple. They're not. They are an ancient race of human-type, interdimensional, flesh and blood people. And they're exposing their existence to humans they choose, those that they trust. Most people they'll just avoid. Some people might get the shit scared out of them, and some of them I'm glad that they do. And others with the wrong intention that are searching for them probably probably never get anything. Then we have these shows like Finding Bigfoot, just a bunch of clowns on television that are they avoid the truth. The whole truth of the matter is we're dealing with something much more than just some ape in the woods who can hide real well. So I'm really interested in people who have witnessed them disappear into thin air. If you want to send your stories in to me at sasquatchontario@yahoo.ca for Canada. Or you can contact me through my website too. There's a contact page on there at sasquatchontario.com. And there's a lot of people that have had encounters that they can't understand, and I'm just doing my part, to help others understand, because I have been given so much experience by them. It's absolutely incredible what I've witnessed over the years, and that continues. It's I've learned once you connect to them, their activity does follow you, and can show up literally anywhere, and I mean anywhere. So it's this whole premise of all these cookie cutter TV shows that are just basically for ratings and dollars. They're not really searching for the truth of matters. The producers of these shows, they basically avoid the whole premise that Sasquatch are an ancient race of human types that have abilities that just completely change our understanding of reality. So anyways, I'm going to share this story here with you. So this is from username John Smith, which I don't think is his real name, but that's quite all right. People like to keep their privacy. So hi Mike, I really appreciate the work you're doing to share this knowledge with everyone. Below are my notes from an encounter I had in Yosemite back in 1985. This incident was also in Chris Noel's book, Mind Speak. Here I have added some reflection on what I can only describe as being contacted, and feel free to use my incident. Sequoia incident, 1985. So we had spent a long weekend cross-country skiing in amongst the magnificent giant redwood trees of Sequoia. It was beautiful and serene. Over that entire weekend, I had a strong feeling that we were being watched as we played around in the snow, yet I never saw a thing. Late in the afternoon of the final day, we packed up the van and headed down the mountain. As we drove down the mountain, I felt someone was saying, "We've been watching you." I thought, who is we? It was the oddest thing, but it didn't seem obtrusive for any reason at the time. Don't ask me why, but I had the feeling it was like someone saying goodbye. As we rolled further down the mountain and came around a sweeping left-hand bend, switchback, I looked up to the left, and about 70 feet away and 30 feet up the embankment from the road was a huge male Bigfoot with a gray beard and long hair. His face was dark and looked like polished leather with dark, deep-set eyes. A gray part of the beard made like a W pattern, and his hair was long. He had stepped out of the edge of the forest, and I could see his red eyes in the dusk light. I should have been shocked, but I felt strangely, totally calm. As we were driving, we were arcing around him, and we were actually getting down closer to and beneath him. I could see his eyes were far apart, and he was tall against the pines. My brother was driving my dad's van. I was sitting on the cooler in between my two brothers. At this point, it was as if time slowed down. At that moment, I heard a fuzzy sound in my mind like an old radio. Then I heard a strong voice say, "Don't tell them you see me." I recall it actually sounded loud in my head, and I've experienced that on several occasions at this point. Not just voice either, even wood knocks. For some reason, I raised my hand to point at him, and as I did so, he turned and dissolved back into the trees. I believe he revealed himself to me on purpose. I also believe he knew I was about to point him out. I was not even able to fully lift my arm before he disappeared. As soon as he was gone, it was like the super slow-mo was over and everything went back to normal speed again. Weird. I was the only one who saw him. I remember that I did not say a thing to anyone in the van, thinking they wouldn't believe me anyway. It was too mind-blowing an experience. You have to remember, this was 1985. Nobody was talking about this stuff like this. The whole MindSpeak thing freaked me out, and I think I was in denial for quite some time. I can understand that. After hearing about Les Stroud's incident of MindSpeak, I felt like that strengthened my belief that what had happened was real. I look back on that incident, and I realized how special that moment was. There was a sense that he was trusting me by coming out in the open, knowing I would see him and nobody else in the van would. It was a friendly gesture. It's worth mentioning here that I've been repeatedly contacted by them since a face-to-face encounter at the age of 6 in 1972. I feel like I'm sort of a magnet for these close encounters. I've had at least 8 encounters over the years without trying at all. I don't know how to explain it, and I don't know what it really means, but I think they know our intentions, and they know who the gentle souls are. To this day, I get feelings when I'm in wild places that tell me if they're nearby. I'm not claiming to understand why this is happening, but it is happening. That was from a gentleman who obviously had a MindSpeak experience, and I fully understand it because it's happened to me. I remember the first time it happened to me, it was back in 2013, shortly after getting involved with this situation with Nest Family, and I was at home laying on the couch. And I got a grunt in my head. It was so loud, like I was basically asleep on the couch, but this grunt shot me to my feet like instantly, and I just mind blown. I called up Dwayne, the property owner, and told him what had just happened. And there's been they have this ability to connect in our consciousness to our consciousness. And I believe that's how they find us. And I've learned once you connect to them, they can literally show up anywhere. And my understanding here with John is that's what it sounds like to me. They revealed their existence to him or their presence to him at a young age, and have kept an eye on him over the years. And they show up periodically whenever, like myself, I always hope for more and more, right? It's like fleeting moments, fleeting glimpses. They just reveal their presence in ways that blow your mind, and then they're gone. In a situation that I've been involved in, it's just been such a blessing to be able to, at this point, even ask questions and get written responses from them. So there's been a lot of stuff that I've posted over the years that I've not really explained in detail. A lot of the images that appeared on cameras and stuff, and I just want to get into more detail and explain some of this stuff. Like this photo here that was taken back, I believe it was February the 9th, 2013. The property owner and myself were on another piece of the property when his spouse, who was in the cottage at the time, had an incident where the big guy of the family showed himself. He showed up, and I think he might have been a couple 100 feet from the cottage, and she was standing in the kitchen, and she was told, take the picture. You can figure that one out yourself. So she was told, take the picture, and she did, and sadly it locked onto the screen of the window, but you can still see him. And he's bent at the knees, and there's actually 2 trees there that go up in a V, that start the V. It starts really low near the ground. In the right picture, I'm standing beside the one, or I'm standing basically in the same spot, but I'm looking at the side of the tree, and he's looking between the 2 trees, and so we recreated the shot a week later. When this shot happened, it was my thought to be respectful and not go up there and inspect the area and that. And at the time, actually, when he showed himself, there was another neighbor down the road who was plowing snow, and I was told that he kept looking over at him because it wasn't, he didn't want him to see. Obviously, it wasn't meant for him; it was meant for her. And she didn't see him leave. I think she mentioned she had gone to step outside the door to get a better picture, and he was gone. That's just a couple steps away, and I bet you there was no trackway to show him leaving either. So when this the next week came up, I did my best to recreate the shot. Only instead of a small point and shoot camera, what she used, I had a good DSLR with a $1,500 lens on it, and the only difference was I put the camera lens up to the screen so it would shoot through it. So I still took the shot from inside the window, tried to adjust it as best as I could and line up the trees as best as I could. The lighting's different, which is why things look a little bit different. But if you can see the trees are pretty much lined up. I might have zoomed in just a hair too close, but still it puts him roughly about 11 feet tall, and he had a 20-inch footprint at that time, and she mentioned that he was hunched, so he's closer to 12 feet tall, and now has a 21-inch footprint after many years of documentation and interactions with the family. So if you can't see him, he's there. He's standing there. He's quite blatant. It really gives it away where his knees are bent. Short on the legs, it looks like, massive upper body. He's probably, it's hard to guess, but I would say, at least 1,000 pounds. And, some of you might not be able to see him, and oh well, it is what it is. But he's definitely standing there. And that's the only time I've known him to show himself like that. I've seen his print finally showed up after several years. It was March 20th, 2015, when he showed his then 20-inch footprint. And he actually gave a partial print on the back of my car. And that's when some things went down where property owner and myself, we had a bit of a falling out. It was funny. That was the day that he showed his print, the big guy, and the day they also stated, "We love you," and they knew what was going on, so they knew that was my last visit for a while. And it's funny because I think it was about 15 months later, he showed up in a dream of mine, and he had stepped out. It was at night, and I was coming around I was walking this dark road, surrounded by woods on both sides, and he had stepped out in front of me on the road, and he was standing right there. And I even remember back in the dream, I thought he was about 12 feet tall. And he was this gentle soul. There was a gentleness about him. And I'd reached out to shake his hand, and he let me. And I remember I grabbed onto 2 fingers. And I didn't want to, give him a little handshake, and then I didn't want to let go. And I remember looking up into his face, and then he understood, and he just stood there and allowed that to happen. And then I let go, and he took one step, and he disappeared into the woods. And then I woke up immediately. And this has happened numerous times with their family, different family members. What was interesting was within just a couple of days, I think it was, I'd been contacted by a person, had no idea who they were, and they had no idea where this location was. And they said, "Hey, Mike, I have a property that you can pitch your tent at if you want. I know some people where you might be able to pitch your tent." And it ended up being about 5 minutes as the crow flies from where I was previously doing this work. So it was right there in the thick of Neff's home. So that was quite the coincidence, which I don't believe in. It's, it was something given to me, and it kind of kicked my ass to get me to do some work to figure out how I can get back in there and continue doing that work, which I have. And, since, things for years now, Dwayne and I have been back together. We continue this work. And as I've said before, we like the winter time because they like to show their prints, and the trespasser, stalking idiots, they can't hide theirs, right? So, we realized it's still going on this past winter. Some people still showing up. Prints walk right up close enough to the cottage, stop, and then they leave. And this whole thing, I've been put through the ringer with all this hoax accusation stuff and that, and there's more than enough supporting evidence to shoot that down. And you got to ask yourself, why after 10 years is there still people doing that? It's been ongoing pretty much every year, and why are they still doing it if it's so fake, right? Now, this is what happens when you get close, when you get real close and start experiencing their existence. You get people that come in and try to discredit. And I had the support of John Bindernagel and Dmitry Bainov, and sadly both of them have passed on, but both supported me, and both of them had people squawking in their ear, trying to discredit me and not take me seriously. And some of those people are well known in this subject, but in the end, I understand that I've been given a gift that is meant to be shared, and in the end, this is what's going to stand on its own, because the truth of Sasquatch is something that I don't know why so many of you are avoiding the fact that you know nothing about them, yet you'll jump to the conclusion that it's impossible that they can disappear into thin air. Yet there's all kinds of eyewitness accounts. Instead of closing your mind to what you know nothing about, try opening your mind and being more accepting of something that is basically defies logic. The only thing, until you have ongoing contact experiences and have witnessed things that defy logic, that are directly related to their presence, you basically know nothing. You might know they exist, and that's about it. There's so many people that are still thinking they're some offshoot of Giganto. They're not. We have science. We got Jeff Meldrum puts his face on everything, and television in this subject, yet completely avoids the reality and truth of it all. They're human types. Like, look at this foot. Look at this footprint beside mine. Does that look like an ape with a divergent toe? Hell no. That looks human. Sasquatch are human types, and there's a lot of consequences. There's a lot of stuff that will happen once they are accepted as the people they are. The clear cutting, the destruction of these logging companies. I wanted to drop an F-bomb there. These logging companies are just absolutely disgusting in how they are clear cutting the land. I have a friend that's come by here, spent a lot of time in BC, and he says it's just completely, they're just wiping it out. They're wiping the forest out there, and these logging companies, they need to be stopped. We're living in times where it's just, everybody can see that it's just one big shit show going on. So, something needs to be done. Where's all the good guys, eh? Anyways, the whole premise of Sasquatch being an offshoot of Gigantopithecus is garbage. It's bullshit. They are far beyond that. They're smarter than humans. They're faster. We pale in comparison in every way. They don't need what we need to survive and exist. Government, military, they have no control over them, zero. They're absolute masters of earth energies, so they are flesh and blood, and they can disappear into thin air and appear. They can physically stand right beside you and touch you, and you wouldn't even see them. It's happened to me many times. So I just wanted to, share some of this, reiterate, it's something that I tend to go on about, but it is the facts and reality of their existence. So I'll be giving you some more stuff and breakdowns of situations where I've gathered supporting evidence and going more into detail about that, like I did with this picture that was posted years back of the big guy who stands roughly about 12 feet tall. Big guy of the family. I still don't know his name. We've been given, I think it was about 7 names from family members over the years, but both through writing and telepathy and verbally on audio, and so it's been quite the ride for the past decade. And what I've also learned is it doesn't matter the proximity of other humans. When you're in a situation like this, the activity for the most part is indoors at this point, but it doesn't matter if other people are around. They can still show their presence and nobody else would have a clue what's going on. But if you have enough contact experience, you can see it. It's very, very simple. Especially when you get a marble come out of thin air and dropped into your hands or something like that. So anyways, I hope you're all doing well, and keep checking back, and I'll get some more stuff put on soon. Okay? All right, take care.
You.
You, my friend.
You.
I miss you, my friend.
Well.
You know who?
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 I did. Oh. Oh. Oh.
And who? Now, to you, my friend. What is Oomda?
Two. Yeah. Two. Da. Oh. Yeah. Yeah. Ooh. Ah.
Love you, buddy. Thanks for coming into my life, my friend.
Love you.
Really happy to have you in my life, my friend.
No. We love you.
Oh. Oh, that's very nice.
We love you. Ooh, what you do?
Oh man, I love you, buddy.
Oh,